So with that, let me introduce a few individuals who we have asked to say a few words today. All of them have, in their own way, been influential and important to the Commission. So I'd like to first ask State Senator Bill Schluter. If it wasn't for Senator Schluter, we wouldn't be here today, because as all of you know, he was the sponsor of the legislation that established the Commission.
Thank you, Jeff. I'll try to be brief, which is unusual for somebody who's been in politics. In any event, this is a great occasion. I will try and tell you some of the torturous path that the bill went through in finally being signed and establishing the Election Law Enforcement Commission. A couple of weeks ago, somebody asked me, Bill, could you ever pass that bill today with the situation that exists today in the legislature? I said, no, because today, legislative leadership is so powerful that they have the veto power, or yes or no, over any legislation. But back in 1971, 72, and 73, an individual legislature could build up alliances with other legislators and try and get something through in a traditional way. I'd like to acknowledge a number of people at the beginning who were very instrumental in this bill, because this started way back in the 1960s when the Election Law Revision Commission was formed. Now, the secretary of that commission was Sam Alito Sr., who was absolutely outstanding, and he really guided a lot of this legislation through. He appointed his best professional to do the bill drafting, John Lee. And until Peter Kelly came along, John Lee was the most highly regarded individual in the Office of Legislative Services. I want to say something also about the word compromise. Compromise is used a lot in government nowadays to say this is the way we should go, we should compromise. Well, compromise is a two-edged sword. You compromise on small things that don't really matter as far as principle is concerned, but you don't compromise on principle. And when this bill was going through the legislature, we did not compromise on principle, and it's a good thing, because we stood fast. We had 12 versions of the bill, and it finally passed through a lot of difficulties. One of the compromises we had was in the amount of the level of disclosure. It started off at $25, went to $50, finally it went up to $100. We also compromised on a very interesting thing, which is commissioners. I don't know if you know about it, but originally the bill called for 5 commissioners. And we thought, well, this is good because then you won't get a tie. But Ray Bateman, in his wisdom, said, that's wrong. You get 4 commissioners and you have to have bipartisan approval of any kind of measure, which was, I think, very, very good. And that was a compromise that we put in. Other people who helped very much in this struggle was Nancy Becker, who's not here today, unfortunately. Nancy Becker was head of Common Cause before she became a lobbyist. Also Ann Levine, who was head of League of Women Voters. There are many interesting anecdotes that can be told through the course of this legislation. I will try and not tell too many, but disclosure is the key thing. Disclosure is so important, and you've got to have integrity of disclosure, and it means so much. When I was running for the Senate in 1971, I decided I would put my money where my mouth is, and I would ask all my contributors. The disclosure in the bill at that time was $50. I would ask anybody who's contributed $50 to, I would disclose their names, which I thought was a reasonable thing to do. So I sent out letters to everybody who contributed $50 or more. Well, Mary Roebling at the bank here got the letter, and in 20 minutes she had her henchman come down to my office and says, I want my $50 back. That's what disclosure meant to her. And he said, if I don't get it back, I lose my job. So anyway, these things do happen. Another part of the working through the legislature was Governor Cahill. Governor Cahill said on disclosure bill, why $50 or $100? Make it $500. And $500? What is your reasoning for $500? He said, well, look, if you've got a town where 2 people are running for mayor, and you don't disclose and you give $500, that means a shopkeeper can give to both sides up to $500, and it won't be disclosed. I said, well, you've just given the best argument for disclosure. Anyway, the Election Law Enforcement Commission was a great organization that was established by this law. And it is great because of the appointments by the governor of the commissions. They've all been outstanding. And contrary to what we've seen at the Federal Election Commission, the New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission has had wonderful commissioners. They've got an excellent staff. A number of the directors and former directors are here, and they've done outstanding work. So if you could continue, if the Election Law Enforcement Commission can continue in this tradition, you will continue to be successful. Thanks very much.